How's it going, people, and welcome back to Bleed Blue, your home of everything Chelsea here on YouTube. Now, we're in the international break, not much going on in the world of Chelsea, so I'm going to bring you guys a bit of a longer form video today. Now, of course, I'll still post my news videos. You'll get a news video or something of that nature out later today. I might put another 2 videos out today, wait and see, who knows. But I'm going to make you guys a tier list video today. We're going to look through every player this season and we're going to rank them based on performance. Now, 5 tiers in this video: sell, poor, mid, good, and elite. Now, we're going to go through, we'll discuss each of the players and just go through, have a conversation. Let me know in the comments down below if you have any opinions, if you disagree with anything in this video. Anything like that, please let me know. Now remember, like, subscribe if you want to help out the channel. This is a new channel, so really trying to help more people see it, really. So let's get straight into the tier list. Now, you can see it on screen here: sell, poor, mid, good, elite. Now, there is a few players in this tier list who don't play. Marcus Bettinelli, the first one being one of them. But I think he's quite an integral figure behind the scenes. Now, we learned in Chelsea's leadership group, Bettinelli is actually there. He's an experienced player, was at Fulham. We signed him a few years back now, but not much to say because obviously he doesn't play. So I'm just going to put him in mid. You can't say much. He doesn't play, but he does put in the work behind the scenes. Now, second player, Benoit Badiashile. Now, obviously, has had his injury problems at Chelsea. Looked okay at the tail end of last season. Still yet to get back to that form we saw in his first period at Chelsea under Graham Potter and Frank Lampard, when he actually looked good. You know, he got a song, Todd Bowley went to France in a Lamborghini. Got all that, but he's yet to reach, I wouldn't say the heights because we didn't get very high, but yet to get back there. He's played in the Conference League this season, just back from injury. We saw him start in the Arsenal game. He didn't look bad, but overall a poor season. I think unlucky with injuries, and hopefully we can see more. I think if it doesn't get any better until the summer, I think it's definitely a sell situation. Second player, Moises Caicedo. Now, this guy is a baller. This guy, I say it every video, no matter if the team's good, if the team is bad, this guy will give you a solid performance every game, worth every penny of that 115 million, no doubt about that. Now, I don't need to spend too much time on him. You know how good he is. On to another midfielder who's left the club in Cesare Casadei. Now, we're going to be thinking before he left on performances. Now, Cesare Casadei was a strange one. He mainly played in the cup competitions, in the Conference League. I mean, you saw the level of opposition we were playing in the Conference League, so it's nothing to rave on about. He was playing in kind of a placeholder for Moises Caicedo and Enzo Fernandez so they could get a bit of a rest. Played in that deeper pivot. Did well. I think he got his man of the match in Torino in his last game, so I wish him well in his career. But at Chelsea, he was... I'll say he was mid. There was nothing special, but I don't think he was dreadful, so that's where he goes in. Now, this next one is very fascinating. Carney Chukwuemeka. Now, very talented player, top player when he plays, but we just didn't see him get the chance under Maresca. We had a very jam-packed attacking midfielder, of course, Cole Palmer, Joao Felix, Christopher Nkunku, who wants to come, who preferred position is in the 10, of course, hasn't been able to give him that. We've got Esteval Willian and Kendry Paez coming as well, so there was no room for him. He's on loan at Borussia Dortmund now. Hopefully he goes and kills it elsewhere in his career. We only saw him a couple times this season. I remember seeing him in the Conference League. He came on at Astana away. I think he started that game, but just purely based on performances when we did see him, this is going to be harsh, but you'll go into the poor category because we just didn't see enough of him, and when we did see him in these glimpses of nothing, he didn't look the most promising. Now, Levi Colwill, very, very good player, very important part of this project from the owners. Of course, Liverpool wanted to throw the bag at Levi Colwill after his loan at Brighton, and we had Bayern Munich in for him in the summer, but he's staying, weren't listening to offers. I don't think Levi Colwill has necessarily been brilliant, like elite top. He definitely doesn't need to be in there with Caicedo. Don't think he's been bad. It's just kind of one of them mid players. Of course, we can change this tier list around if we notice that players are better, that are what, you know what I mean, like that. We can move it around. So for now, we'll put Levi Colwill in good. Of course, he has made quite a few mistakes this season, but listen, when you see some of the players coming up in this video, Levi Colwill will look like a shining light. Now, Marc Cucurella, straight into the elite tier. This guy, he's come so far this season. Of course, I had to learn how to adapt. Originally, we first saw him invert into midfield. Was it Aston Villa away? Halftime, we were down 2-0. Pochettino put Cucurella into the midfield position, and we saw that was the start of the good form from him, really. Finished that game 2-2. Of course, really struggled in his first period at Chelsea. You see the class, you see why he cost us that 60 million. Of course, now he's adding goals into his game as well, kind of Marcus Alonso-esque. Love to see it. Now he is definitely going into elite. On to the next player, Kiernan Dewsbury-Hall. Now, he's an interesting one. I don't necessarily think Enzo Maresca wanted Dewsbury-Hall. I think he was more like courtesy signing. We'll bring you a bit of home. We'll bring you a bit of familiarity. English, please. Right, forget it. You know the word I'm trying to say. But Dewsbury-Hall, I think he would be good at a mid-table club. Maybe you saw well he played in the Championship, but at a club like Chelsea, I don't think he's good enough. Now, it's going to be harsh. We have seen him do all right. He scored the goal against Copenhagen, scored in the Conference League group stage as well. But when you look at some of the players, I've already listed Cole Palmer, Estevao, Paez. There's no room for Dewsbury-Hall, so it's going to be sell. Axel Disasi. I will go and check his price quickly because I'm not 100% sure. He was the second of the Monaco boys from Monaco. But let me just go and check how much we signed Disasi for. 1 second. Okay, so I just had a look, and according to Transfermarkt, Axel Disasi cost 45 million euros. Now, that's more than Cole Palmer. When you put it in perspective like that, it sounds a bit ridiculous. Now, the other Monaco boy, Benoit Badiashile, he was 38 million euros. So, overall, that's a lot of money to be spending on two, quite frankly, mediocre players that have shown nothing. We saw Axel Disasi, you remember his performance away at the Etihad. But apart from that, can you really think of any moments where he was a great centre-back? Nothing flashes to mind. So Axel Disasi, he's on loan at Villa. He's looking okay, so I think we will sell him. Now, just based on this, I think we'll move Benoit Badiashile down to sell as well. Both of them can go. Now, Joao Felix, the boy with no home. This guy, I feel bad for him, but then again, he's had his chances. He had multiple chances at Chelsea. He was starting every game in the Conference League. He did show these flicks, these tricks, what you know Joao Felix for, but he's not good enough to operate week in, week out at Chelsea. Now, I know that's can be taken two ways, but you know, AC Milan don't want to buy him. Barcelona didn't want him. We got rid of him for the second time. Of course, Pochettino didn't want to keep him the first time, but like I said, I listed off all the players. We cannot fit a Joao Felix. I think he's a good player, don't get me wrong, but he's a player for a certain type of system. I think if Joao Felix was around 20 years ago when Kaka was here, when these players, the flicks and tricks, they were a thing. Now the game's more systemated, following your manager's tactics, the work rate he doesn't have, and under a manager like Enzo Maresca that asks for the press constantly, he just doesn't fit. So I feel bad for Joao Felix, but at the end of the day, you've got to be harsh, you've got to be cutthroat. He's going into sell. Now, Enzo Fernandez, a player I feel we've really seen kick on this season. I discussed him in my last video when I went over Chelsea's midfield for the future, for years to come actually. Very exciting video, so if you haven't already, go and check that out now. Enzo, of course, had a good start to his career, dipped off under Poch, but now I think we're seeing the real Enzo Fernandez. Adding goals, adding assists, that's what you want from your creative playmaker in midfield. Now, Poch did use him further. Now Enzo Maresca using him as a deep-lying playmaker where he plays so well, where he played when Argentina won the World Cup. We're really seeing a great version of Enzo Fernandez, and hopefully it can be onwards and upwards for him from here. So, Enzo Fernandez, I don't think he's in the elite category with Marc Cucurella and Moises Caicedo, but we will put him in good. By no means he's been a lot better than mid. So we'll leave him there. Now, Wesley Fofana, of course, was subject to racial abuse. Never, ever want to see that in the game. It's disgusting. Now, I don't know if it was Arsenal fans or Chelsea fans, but either way, how sad do you have to be DMing people, commenting on Instagram, like, come on, you've heard it a million times before, but based on his player, I think he's a brilliant player, but I just think he's been out of the game so long, been so unlucky with injuries. It's going to take time for him to get back to speed, and in the running, we're going for top 4, top 5. We're going for Champions League. You need to be up to pace. We've not got time to integrate. He looked good in that Leicester game. Arsenal game, he could have been sent off, if I'm being honest. He just looks a bit erratic going into challenges. But of course, when you've been out injured for so long, it's going to take time to get you back up to speed. So I'm going to put Wesley Fofana in. When he's played, he's been good. But the reality of the situation is he's not played enough. And that's not on him. That is unlucky, bad luck with injuries. I'm going to put him in mid now. Good for performances and good, bad and unlucky for injuries. Now, I think we'll put him to the top of mid because he definitely is not below Cesare Casadei. Enzo Fernandez can go to the top. I think we'll leave the rest how it is. Now, ignore the order of that. These are just players that, in my opinion, need to go. Now, Mark Gu, cheap signing from La Masia. Now, very decent when we saw him in pre-season. He just looked like a workhorse. He looked really good. Of course, hat trick against Shamrock Rovers. Injured as well alongside Nico Jackson, but I think when we've seen him for the price he was brought in for, he's looked really good. Now, I think we're going to put him. I don't think he's on the level of Enzo Fernandez and Levi Colwill. I kind of wish we had a tier in between good and mid, but this is what we're doing. We've got to be harsh. We've got to make decisions. I think we're going to put Mike Yu in mid. Now, we'll go above Bettinelli, but not as good as Wesley Fofana. Next, Malo Gusto. Now, Gusto is one of the players I feel like has declined under Enzo Maresca. We saw him as a bombing fullback under Pochettino, getting round Cole Palmer, getting the assists. You saw the defending last season. He was brilliant. He was very, very good for such a cheap price, such a young player coming from League One. But I think the decline this season has been quite noticeable. I don't know if it's the system change. He doesn't necessarily... We don't play with bombing fullbacks anymore. I'm going to put Malo Gusto in poor based on last season, his performances. Now, if you think back to that and you watch him now... Of course, he still has had he was injured for a little bit, back now in the squad. We'll put him in poor, and we'll have to see. Hopefully, Malo Gusto can get back to the way we saw him playing last season. There he is in poor. Nicholas Jackson. Now, this is a guy that divides opinions because what he does so well is receiving the ball, turning for Enzo Maresca's system, the work rate, the pressing, the playmaking even as well. We saw at the start of the season how well him and Cole Palmer linked together. I think Cole Palmer is missing Nicholas Jackson. Of course, we might cover this in the video later today, but Nicholas Jackson is severely underperforming his expected goals. I think it's not severe, but he's underperforming. I think he's our top player underperforming. And the only team underperforming their XG as much as us is Southampton, and that tells you everything you need to know. I don't think it's all on Nico Jackson. Of course, still a young player. We brought him in from La Liga. Not originally a striker. He was a left winger before Unai Emery put him up front for Villarreal. He had that purple patch. Chelsea signed him, and I think for the price he's been very good. I think when he has played this season, bar that tail end before he got injured, I think he has been very good. So I'm not going to be harsh on Jackson at all. I'm going to put him in the good tier. I think he has been very good. Now, I'll put him above Levi Colwill and just below or level with Enzo Fernandez. Next up, is that Reece? Yes, it is Reece James. Now, of course, off on duty with England. It's the international break. Chelsea aren't back till the 2nd of April, I think. So we'll have to... Well, I'm not from England, but we'll be watching Reece James. We'll be watching Levi Colwill. Unfortunately, Cole Palmer isn't there. It will be very interesting to see what Thomas Tuchel... Because, of course, Reece James was instrumental in that Champions League winning season as the wing-back. So we'll see if Thomas Tuchel carries that over and plays him. Of course, a lot tougher on your body, that roll up and down. I think that's why Enzo Maresca has put him into midfield. But, of course, he can definitely play in midfield, which we saw on his loan at Wigan. So, I think... based on the amount of time out, the recurring injuries, when he's played, he's looked good. It's just good to have him there. Like, he's one of them players, no matter what, when you've got Reece James on the pitch, you feel more confident, you feel better. So I'm going to put him at the top of mid with Wesley Fofana. Philip Jorgensen, interesting one. Of course, has played number 2, second fiddle to Sanchez for the most part of this season. When he's played, he's been okay, nothing spectacular. Of course, came from Villarreal like Nico Jackson last summer, joined up with us in pre-season. Made the mistake at Villa away. Apart from that, when he has played in the Conference League, he's been good. I think it was the Heidenheim game at home in the Conference League he really shone. So he's a good player. I think now, God knows how, Sanchez is back as number 1. I don't think we will see Jorgensen that much. Depends if he rotates into the Conference League or not. So we'll put Philip Jorgensen in mid because he's not been deathly bad, but he's not been excellent either. You know what I mean, guys. So next player. So there's Philip Jorgensen, Reece James next to him. Now, Omari Kellyman. Now, this is a bit unfair. Kellyman, another player that's been really struck with injuries. Still yet to make his first team debut, so he's been playing with the academy when he has been available. So I'm going to be honest, I watch the academy games, but I don't meticulously watch. Pardon me, I don't watch all the players all the time, so I've not really seen much from Omari Kellyman. I'll just put him at the bottom of mid. It feels a bit unfair to rank him anywhere other than that. So there is Omari Kellyman. Now, Romeo Lavia, another player spoken about deeply in the last video. Make sure you go and check that out. Plagued with injuries. This guy, when he is fit, is so good, and we could see so much of an improvement with him there in the midfield. Of course, back from injury now. He has looked good when we've seen him, but there is the but of how long he misses through injury. Now, when we have seen him, if we're basing this on performances, injuries have to play a factor, because how much you can rely on a player, as Joey Knight says, availability is the best ability, and Romeo Lavia can't bring that. Same could be said with Reece James, but we've seen him, he's been fit for a little bit now, so we'll have to wait and see. Now, these are two players I think every Chelsea fan hopes can stay fit, because if we can keep Romeo Lavia and Reece James, like these are elite level players. I think people forget because how long they go out for, but these are brilliant players. So fingers crossed we can see Lavia stay a bit longer. I think we'll put him, top of mid. I think he joins that. We're getting a little bit of a Hospital FC category there in the mid tier. Wesley Fofana injuries, Reece James injuries, Lavia injuries. So I think if they had an injury-free season, it would be a lot easier because you actually see them play. Now, Noni Madueke, been injured for a couple of weeks now, but since he's been injured, I think you've really seen how important he was to this system. A man that can drive at players, can take people on. That's what we missed in the Arsenal game. I said it in my review. Jadon Sancho, Pedro Neto, Christopher Nkunku. No one wanted to go for it. I think that's why Noni Madueke is so good. He will get down. He will bomb down the touchline, get in. He will run at players. He'll beat them. I think we do miss Noni, and it will be good to have him back. I think we'll definitely improve with Noni Madueke back. Same with Nicholas Jackson. So we're going to put Noni Madueke in good. When he's played, I think he has been good. There's been a few stinkers here and there, but I think on the overall, Noni Madueke has been good this season. Of course, got the hat-trick away at Wolves. His goals and assists haven't been the best. I think he scored against Forest at home. He scored in the game. What game did Trev come back? Was it West Ham at home? I think it was West Ham at home. So he stole Trev. That was the game he stole Trev's goal. So, anyway, one sec. Continuing on, now we are on to Mykhailo Mudryk. Now, I think I am going to make a video on Mykhailo Mudryk about the whole situation. Now, we definitely saw an uptick in form from Mudryk. We know the player that's in there, he's got so much raw potential, but that's the problem, raw potential. He needs time to be coached. We saw Poch was always giving the arm. You remember them doing the crossbar challenge? We saw that. I think he needs a manager like that. I think he needs time, but we don't have time. This is Chelsea Football Club. You need to be on it. Now, Mykhailo Mudryk is a player I like personally. Feel bad that he's been suspended for this long. Hopefully we can see him back. I don't know if he will ever play for Chelsea again in his career, but we'll save that for another video. I think I'm going to deep dive into Mykhailo Mudryk in a different video. If we're going based on performances, we definitely saw an uptick in the Conference League. Was looking better, did look well, do look good in the Premier League games he put on, but of course that's over 100 days. End of November, he was suspended. Still waiting on the B sample. So hopefully we hear back from that soon. Stay tuned if you're a Mykhailo Mudryk fan. There will be a video on him at some point. Now, I think we will put him... I think he was good when he played, but in the Conference League. That's the but. So he's going to go into mid. Now, Pedro Neto, a player that's been occupying the false nine for us of late. Obviously, of course, Nicholas Jackson and Mark Yu are injured. I think Pedro Neto has been good. Butterman for 60 million in the summer. Now, by no means, no stretch of the imagination, I don't think he's been brilliant. I don't think he's blown everyone away with how good he's been. But there has been some performances that he has looked very good. So I think we'll put him in good. I don't know if that's being a bit too positive on Pedro Neto. You can see him in the good category. Now, on to a player that's really starting to get onto my nerves. Christopher Nkunku. What does this guy offer? What does he bring to the table? Now, I said in my review that he was close to going to Bayern Munich. We know that. He is just... He's so lazy. You guys have got to see as well. This guy, he doesn't run. It's like he's playing with cement blocks on his feet. We're going to put him... I think it's got to be sell. If I'm being honest, we've got to start being harsh. Christopher Nkunku is not good enough. I'm sure he's a brilliant player. We saw it at Leipzig. We saw how good he was in the Champions League. Scored a hat-trick away at the Etihad. But since coming to Chelsea, I don't know if it's because he's not played in his favourite 10. I think we need to cash out on Christopher Nkunku. So he's going into the sell category. Now, Cole Palmer. Downwards form recently, but we know... He's already got so many goals and assists. I think it's 15 goals and assists this season. I've not double-checked that, but definitely, you still see him. If you're just watching games with the eye test, of course, people that just watch football on TikTok, people that just watch on Instagram, look at Twitter, they'll see Cole Palmer, no goals in how many games, no goals in this many games, no assists, missed a penalty. If you watch him, you still see how important he is to this Chelsea team based on the eye test. And for Cole Palmer, the goals and assists will come. A player like that doesn't just go from up here to down there overnight. It's definitely, I don't know if it's confidence, definitely missing the link up with Nicholas Jackson, but we will definitely see Cole Palmer back. I have no doubt about it. He will be back. So he's going in elite. I think you can't put him anywhere but elite. Of course, very good first season. Very good is an understatement. Absolutely brilliant first season last year. Poch gave him more of the free roll off the right, where he was cutting in Enzo Maresca, playing him more centrally, which means he will be marked more. You see a lot of the games, he's getting fouled, he's getting picked up man-to-man. Still finding space because he's been dropping in a lot deeper in recent games. But like I say, Cole Palmer will be back. Don't worry about it. Now, I think this is the quickest one yet. Robert Sanchez. I should have made his own tier. In fact, wait a second. Now, as you can see, people, we've got a new tier made for one man and one man only, and that is Robert Sanchez. This guy needs to get to F. He's not good enough. I'm not going to deep dive. You've heard it from everyone else. Anyone with eyes can see Robert Sanchez is not good enough for a Chelsea goalkeeper. But yet, still Enzo Maresca's number one. Somehow, we're just going to have to ride it out to the end of the season. God knows if we'll still be alive. If I have to watch Sanchez anymore, I think I might just rip my own eyes out. This guy is so bad. I think Petrovic is better. I'd rather Mike Penders come back and play. He's so bad. If you don't laugh, you'll cry. He is... I'm not spending any more time. You know how bad Sanchez is. Everyone says it. Everyone knows it. Everyone's thinking the same thing except the club, which is fascinating to me how he can still get played. Moving on swiftly from Sanchez. Tosin Adarabioyo. Bioyo? Brought in on a free from Fulham in the summer. Now, he has looked good when he's been called upon. A bit of experience. I think he's 27, so of course not been round everywhere, worn the shirt, but still it has been very good when called upon. Now, you remember his double in the cup against Morecambe. He's tall, he's big. I think it's what you need for a rotational centre-back. I think if you have the two elite centre-backs, you can afford to have a player like Tosin who can come in, fill in, and put in a shift when he comes in. So just based on that, I'm going to put Tosin Adarabioyo in the bottom of good. Now, Renato Vega doing very well in Juventus, or that's the last I saw anyway. Playing well in Turin. Now, was good when he was with us, played in the Conference League mainly. We saw him get a few games in the Prem, but nothing special performance-wise from him. I think he's a very versatile player. We know he can play left back, CDM, centre back. Signed him from Basel in the summer. I remember that very vividly. No one knew who he was, but I think he has been good. Now, for the model these owners want, it's bring them in cheap and sell them high. That's exactly what you're going to get with Renato Vega. I'm going to put him in mid. I think when he was here, he wasn't spectacular. I think I'll put him below Philip. It's not like he was very bad, but he was nothing special, is what I'm trying to say. He had his good moments, but nothing too good. Now, I think I'll put Mykhailo Mudryk down, and I think I'll leave it like that. Now, Jadon Sancho, when he came in, we thought it was a bargain of the century. He was playing so well. But these last few games, he's not looked good. Now, we won the penalty for Cole Palmer in the Leicester game. Of course, wasn't converted. You would hear more about it if it was. I'm going to... Now, 25 million for a player like Jadon Sancho is a brilliant deal. Now, he was one of the hottest prospects in football. United signed him, was it 75 million or something like that? So he's a good player. That player is in there, but we just need to see it more on a consistent basis from Jadon Sancho. Now, I think we will put... We're not factoring the price. I'm trying not to factor the price. Based on just performances alone, I'll put him in good. He's not been excellent up there with Caicedo and everyone else. Now, the last player, Ben Chilwell. Now, I think he played once. He came on, was it Barrow at home? He came off the bench. It was Barrow, or who was the other one? No, it wasn't more. I think it would have been Barrow at home. He came off the bench for. Now, of course, one of the players from that Champions League winning season. I think it's a bit unfair to rank him. He's on loan at Crystal Palace now. From what I've seen, he's doing all right at Crystal Palace, Chilwell. But he doesn't fit Enzo Maresca's style. Now, he was brilliant in the Champions League winning season. Ben Chilwell's won a European Cup is this song. So we're just going to put him, where can we put him? Sell. He's not going to play, so I think we will just have to put him in the sell tier. There he goes. So not as bad as Robert Sanchez. No one is down there. That's the criminals tier only. That man needs to be behind bars for some of the performances this season. But that's going to wrap up the video today. Bit of a longer video, but hope it gives you something to keep you entertained over this international break without Chelsea. Now, if you enjoyed this video, want to see more daily videos, multiple day news videos, and everything like that, so make sure you like and subscribe on this video. Get in the comments below. I'll show you one more time the tier list. If you disagree with anything, please let me know. I'd love to have a discussion in the comments below. Now, I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. If you want to come back for the second video, please do. If you made it this far, thank you very much, and I hope you guys have a good one. See ya.